Hey y'all, this is Lydia. I am going to pull some cards from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. I haven't pulled this one out in a minute, but a lot of information has been coming through, especially with Neptune Direct, which has hit my chart pretty hard, not gonna lie to tell you. I have Uranus at 22 degrees of Sagittarius in my birth chart, and Chiron at 27 degrees of Gemini, and Neptune and Jupiter are just having a good old party along with Mars retrograde in my birth chart. And Neptune direct at 22 degrees in particular is the final pass it's making in square to my Uranus, which is conjoined with Ceres too at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. And that's spiritual breakthroughs, but the way it's playing out is interesting. It's a lot of integration. It's a lot of information trying to ground itself in. And it is making me tired, even making me a little sick. I feel under the weather. We'll see if I actually get sick. It's rare for me to actually get fully sick, like taken down, but I think part of that is I feel it so ahead of the game that I do something to preempt it. But yeah, it's been a lot of information, more information than I was expecting coming in through the 3D as well, through people I'm being exposed to. And it's really beautiful. And it's not overwhelming me. So that's a good sign. I'm taking it as a good sign. But information that's been coming in particular is something that I've been going through, and I think it's the Neptune direct grounding in a lot of spiritual upgrades that is making me look back and really seeing how far I've come, because we talk a lot about manifestation, but what we don't talk about is how to do it. And well, we do talk about how to do it, but not in the way that it's supposed to be done, at least not in my experience and not in my observations. Manifestation culture, one, talks like we're not manifesting all the time. We are. Everything in our experience is a manifestation, and how we interact with these manifestations and how we pull these things in and what we do with them is our karma. But manifestation happens on divine time. You know, it's not like the universe is some sort of deep coffer bank account that we can just take a draft out at the ATM anytime we want. It's about opening up energetic pathways so that our manifestations can reach us once that divine time comes. And this is important in astrology too. It's once this transit perfects, it's over. It's done. It's what's building up to that is the transit. And once it culminates, that's it. Then you go into the resolution. And I've noticed that in order to really bring in things and to manifest in a powerful way, we always have to be planting those energetic seeds and putting in that energetic investment so that when the portal opens, when these transits come into play and they start building up, when they perfect, when they hit, we have done the energetic work in order for those things to actually materialize and come down in the material plane. And preparedness is non-negotiable. You know, I think I fell for this in the past, being like, okay, well, I'm going to manifest this thing and thinking it's going to come in when this transit happens, when there was an air of me waiting for it to happen versus actually doing the work that's leading up to that transit so that it can come in when it's meant to. So part of the preparedness is to show up and to do the work even before it starts giving back, even before it starts, you know, giving us what we want. God is not some sort of Santa Claus that just makes it rain down without us actually doing any energetic exchange. The energetic exchange is important. And in order to be prepared, you have to get into the flow. You have to get into the rhythm that you need in order to really be prepared to receive the things that you want. And this, for the biggest example, would be making these videos. There's a new tier coming in. There's a new level I'm being asked to step to. But if I hadn't bit the bullet and faced my fears and started making videos in the first place, I wouldn't be prepared. I wouldn't be ready to receive them. I would have to wait for the next ship to come, but not wait for it. Actually, you know, put my foot forward and start doing what I'm being called to do in the present moment so that I can be prepared when these things start to land. And that's what it is. Once you get into that divine flow, what you're prompted to do in the present moment is that preparation. Any circumstances in your life is the preparation so that these manifestations can come in and ground in and land. And I call it, you know, opening up energetic portals for the manifestations to come in. And it's, you know, again, it's non-negotiable. This card wanted to pop out Aletheia, which means truth. And there's an air of divine balance with this card. There's the yin and yang sort of imagery with the dark and the light and the dark. And divine balance is something that's also been coming in with the Libra energetic. It keeps coming to my mind, this idea that we can say Libra rules balance, but part of that balance is it's a dance. It's a dynamic balance. It's the balance of being in flow and being in movement. It isn't a static balance. It isn't something that can be achieved and maintained through a static thing of I'm going to make sure I'm always balanced. It's about having experiences in life and stepping out and facing challenges and facing fears and finding that dynamic equilibrium through those turbulent moments and through chaos and through challenge. And that's what I'm getting off this card. It's like, what the truth of the matter is, in order for us to really get what we want, we have to stand in our truth in the first place. And the truth is, whatever is in our lives right now, whatever is we're being confronted with right now, it is preparation, and it is meant to bring things in, and things will come in exactly when they're meant to, but not if we're couch potatoes, not if we're playing victim, and not if we're mistaking fate for misfortune. And that's a big one. We can often, and I've fallen prey to this too, this idea of things happening to me and feeling like certain aspects of my lives and certain aspects of my karmic cycles that I'm going through in this life are some sort of curse or some sort of burden, when they're not a burden. They're actually a gift. They're actually here to prepare my soul and to elevate my soul in ways in order to step into my highest timeline in this life. And my highest timeline isn't achieving anything necessarily tangible. My highest timeline is what fulfills me and what gives me that feeling of fulfillment and wholeness and beauty and abundance and prosperity, no matter what's occurring around me. And that is, we're being asked to tap into that truth. Like, what is fulfillment for you? One, and two, if you do have manifestations, are you showing up in ways that prepare you and really put the foundations in place in order for those manifestations to come in when the portal opens, when those energetic pathways open up? And that is, a big one. A lot of successful people, they'll say, oh, it was because this, and this. There's also this sense of they were showing up before there was the payback. They were showing up before there was the return. They were showing up for the love of it. And that's the truth. That is the most purest truth. When we're showing up just for the love of it, and just for the purity of it, and just for the feeling of it, because it makes us joyful, it makes us fulfilled, it makes us happy, and not really needing anything returned beyond that, that's when those portals open up in big ways to start bringing things in. And it's important too not to fall out of what got us started in the first place, that passionate, beautiful energy that gets us started in the first place, and not to get too caught up in the 3D of, well, I need money in order to do anything. The money will come. If it's needed, it will come, and we can certainly expand on that and compound with that. But the money is not the point. It's about the truth, the beauty, the love of it. You got the rose here, that love energy of being in a divine balance that is very unique to you, and really even stepping out into the world and discovering what that is through trial and error and through making mistakes, and mistakes that aren't really mistakes. It's always preparation. When we're stepping out and when we're showing up and when we're taking those steps forward before we know what's going to happen and before we feel like we know everything we need to know, and commit to also finding the truth as we go along and gaining the skills as we go along, then that's prosperity. That's what's going to open up those portals of prosperity to reach us. And it can look in a myriad of different ways, and our mind can sort of get caught up in how it has to look. That's not the truth. The truth is we allow our heart to show us what the truth is. We allow our hearts to show us what prosperity is, and to really be surprised in that. When my guide said I'm going to be making videos, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm not going to do that. Which is part of my karma. I'm a jack of hearts. It's this idea of the Christ path of taking on a burden that you don't necessarily want to take on, but once you take it on, you see the power of it, you see the beauty of it, you see the love in it, and you see the fulfillment of it. And it's true. Like, when we step out and we actually say, okay, this thing is in my face, and maybe it's scary, or maybe I feel like I don't want it, or maybe it's too much to bear, but I keep looking at it, it keeps facing me, it keeps calling my attention. When we step out into the world in that way and we actually go down those paths, we're surprised by what the gifts are and what the miracles are and what the fulfillment is that our egos and our mind had convinced ourselves that would not fulfill us. And so definitely, if you're trying to bring things in and manifest, don't get too caught up in how it should play out, but pay attention to what's being asked of you now, and trusting that what you're being called to do now is all in preparation. And it can feel like it's something completely random, Perhaps it's a conflict in a relationship, or some sort of circumstance where there's conflict or chaos that needs to be cleared up before we can move forward in a meaningful way. So definitely don't mistake fate for misfortune. And if something is calling your name, have that curiosity, have that playfulness, and have that, you know, that open mind to go and see what's that's about, and to be open to being surprised and being open to receiving gifts you didn't even know existed. So I hope this message resonates. I'm sending love and wishing you well.